End of the show, here we are. So please, filmmakers, come up and join us for a Q&A. Kate Ha, Eunson-ConnLorin Murphy, Kelly Spivey, I'm sorry, I had no idea you were here. It's great to meet you. So, first, more apologies to Lauren. I'm so sorry. I feel very bad as a filmmaker myself who works with celluloid to not be able to present your work the way we intended. We're going to try to figure out an encore, or I guess that would still be a premiere in this case since we didn't finish. So, it is possible for you diehards that I think we could run it after this. The reason we couldn't resume was because we had to pull it off the projector to run Kelly's, and then your film wasn't in the right place anymore. Start it over. Of course, that's what's going to have to happen. In its entirety, complete, perfect. Tonight, I think I've never had as much trouble with 16 in my life, which is shocking because I always say it's so much more reliable than digital, and it still is. It stood the test of time over 100 years, so anyway, enough of that. Let's celebrate who we have here tonight. There's actually another mic that it's there that Sloan has. Great. So maybe everyone should introduce themselves first, and then we can just start the conversation.
Yeah, if we could just introduce yourselves and remind the audience which film was yours.
Hi, Lauren Murphy. Mine's the one that didn't run.
It's called Disaster Movie 1, 2, 3.
Yes. I'm Kate Ha. I made Veruca.
I'm Eunson-ConnLorin. I made Adilla, or A Day in LA.
I'm Kelly Spivey. I made the one that looked like it was stuck in the projector, but wasn't. A visual guide to physical examination.
I'm Tina Takamoto. I did Looking for Judo was the first one.
So I don't know if there's questions from the audience. I'm happy to start with them, but I can also ask questions, or maybe Sloan can ask questions. So I was gonna say to Kate that it was interesting to see your film tonight. First of all, color. I'm used to your work you make zines, you make art that's collage based, a lot of black and white reproduction, found images, and your previous films on Super 8 were also collage works, a lot of them. And today, seeing the explosion of color at the beginning, and yet it still, for me, was a collage film. So I thought that was really interesting to see, and I don't know if you want to say just something about your approach to this and how it was different from your other body of work, all of which is shown in MIX.
Well, Veruca is quite colorful, so it seemed like it would have been detracting from some of her natural beauty to take the color out. I like getting very, very close to subject matter, and so I think in that way, maybe that was part of the collage feeling, that you're very, very up close. There are moments where you can't really tell, it becomes abstracted and you can't really tell what part of the person's body that is, and that was intentional and it worked very well for me.
Great. A question over here, and you know what, we should share the mic with you so that the audience can hear you.
Great work, everyone. I just wanted to ask each single filmmaker up here what your top 3 cinematic influences are. And just briefly, just like, and then pass the mic.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's it. Someone knows how to ask a question.
Andy Warhol. I would say Todd Browning, Federico Fellini, and Fassbinder.
Pasolini, Godard, and I don't know. That's a hard question. 3?
So hard. I have too many, so I don't like that kind of question because I just can't pick it. Whatever's on the top of my brain and I pass. Really. I mean, everyone in this room that's ever made a film, all these people up here, seriously. Every time I come each year, I see something that really inspires me. So.
This film was inspired by Isaac Julian.
Isaac Julian's actually in town doing a lecture at Columbia, and was doing a lecture at the Whitney Independent Study Program tonight, and even promised that he would try to stop by later tonight. So that's a really nice thing, and I hope that's true. Isaac is, of course, shown in the festival in the early years, so that's a nice influence, and I hope you guys get to meet. Other questions out there? It's hard to see. I have more questions.
Go ahead.
As Matilda would say, questions. I want some really good questions. So Kelly, I was wondering if you could talk about optical printing, and which is a big part of your work.
All right. That means it pops me. Well, it's actually, this project was done contact printed. So I had footage that I had shot, and then I had found films, and sandwiched them together and ran them through this little mini printer. And I printed the picture, the image, separate from the sound. So the sound loops were all spliced from found footage to, and it's kind of submerged.
Where was the mini printer?
Where was the mini printer? Oh, guess what, Gina? I mean, whoever that.
Yeah.
Gina should be down here too.
Amy. Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too. You should be down here too. Actually, someone donated one. I mentioned this to someone, and one was just donated this last weekend to Millennium Film Workshop. Woo! No. This disguised person. I did it at the Phil Hoffman Film Farm in Canada. Phil Hoffman. I went all the way there. You should go there. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'll tell you about it. So you go up there and you spend a week with Canadian filmmakers, and you shoot film. Everybody shoots film. Everybody hand processes film.
No, it's Phil Hoffman.
Yeah, Philip Hoffman's a filmmaker. I'll tell you later. But you guys can look it up too.
Down on the farm all Sorry.
We're having a conversation. But yeah, so at this amazing place in this big old barn, this guy Phil Hoffman has all kinds of film paraphernalia, and buried. It rained all week, so I couldn't do. I had some ideas, and they kind of went out the window with the rain. And so I went into this dark room, this closet. There's several dark rooms, and there was this little cineprinter, the Euler cineprinter. And it's this little mini thing. It looks like a 16 millimeter film rewind thing. And it's just so amazing that you can print optical soundtrack. And I didn't quite get it down, actually. This is an experimental film festival, and I feel like watching this tonight, I'm like, that really is an experiment. Because I haven't quite gotten it down. But yeah, now Millennium has one. Someone recently donated.
Very exciting. Other questions from the audience? It's hard to see out here.
Ethan, will you talk about your juxtaposition of what I assume to be something that you found, a conversation around the table with women, and then this sort of diaristic footage of...
Wait, can you repeat the question?
The question was the juxtaposition of what Jen assumed was found dialogue and what was the other one? And the diary-esque sort of stuff. Actually, it's all diary sort of writing. There's a poem from Adrienne Rich, a quote from Jeanette Winterson, and then I wrote the dialogue based on an actual day and conversation I had. So.
In Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles.
I like the hand processing over the processing.
Thank you. It's all hand processed. It's all either contact printed or it's contact printed. No, optical printed rephotography.
More questions out there? Rich questions. Tina, I wanted you to talk about your film a little bit, because your subject matter is very serious, but your treatment is really fun.
I was asked to respond to a person's collection in the GLBT Historical Society, and it's the only gay guy, adult gay man who was in the Japanese American concentration camps. And there's very little in his archive, so pretty much all we know about him is that he worked in the mess hall and he collected male physical culture and was kind of a dandy. So those were the ingredients for my music video mashup, bread fisting scenario.
When we saw that, we knew it was totally mixed. But you made that in a workshop in Toronto, is that right? Am I wrong? No? Sorry, I was the credits today, sorry.
I performed it a couple times in San Francisco as a live performance, and then the footage is all from U.S. propaganda footage. There's very little footage of the incarceration camps, so all of the documentaries that even the experimental documentaries that you see about incarceration all use the same footage. So I was also trying to queer the footage as much as I could. But yeah, so it's a live performance and then sort of exists as a video too.
Oh, great. I wanted to, oh, yes, Randy.
Yeah, I'd like to know, I thought that was an extraordinary film. I just wonder what the reaction is among Japanese Americans or Japanese in general to that film. Have you had any brief?
Yeah, so the question is, how does the Japanese American community react to this film? So I wrote an op-ed piece for a Japanese American newspaper, and I didn't talk about my own work, but I talked about this person's collection, and I asked people for stories, queer stories. So I'm actually trying to do a research project to collect more queer stories. We know George Takei is gay, but he was 5. So I wanted stories of adults that are gay. And I got a couple hate emails. And then I got a lot of encouraging words from people probably of my generation. But I've gotten no stories of LGBTQ people who are actually incarcerated as adults. So I haven't screened this at an Asian American Film Festival yet, so we'll see what happens when if that happens.
Just follow up on that. Is that because, have you been turned down by Asian American film festivals?
I'm not, this is my first film festival. Yeah, great. So I wanted Lauren to just talk a little bit about his film. I saw it actually this summer at the Big Gay Warehouse in San Francisco, there was a screening of underground gay films the same night as the Frameline San Francisco Lesbian and Gay Mainstream Film Festival was happening. And I said, I need to go to the Big Gay Warehouse and see what's happening there. So it was really, really exciting, and I felt a great affinity for that space. They lost their lease shortly thereafter, but I had a really great night, and that's where we met, and I was very interested in your work and said, please send it. So, and it just, I think it speaks to a lot of the stuff that I think of as being very mixed in its form, abstraction, but also there's a politic there too, and social concerns. And yet it's also very personal. For me, it comes from the tradition of personal cinema. So just wondering if you could speak to some of that, at least about the parts that we saw.
Okay. Well, it's mostly found footage, which I destroy and then reassemble. And the 2 reels, one's usually color and one's usually black and white. And I like to make my cuts broad enough so that if technical difficulties like this happen, that it still carries some of the same intent that I had behind the whole thing. And I basically like the idea of the story to be conveyed through the juxtaposition of the color and the black and white, and then the degraded film. And it totally started out as an experiment because I wanted to see what it looked like if you optical printed black and white and color on top of each other, but there was no optical printer available, so I just used 2 Bell & Howells instead.
Great. So, joining us on stage belatedly was Gina Carducci, who made the trailer this year. So I wanted Gina just to speak a little bit about it. It was, well, I'm just going to let her go, because she knows what to say.
Well, Robert this morning made a really funny documentary of the making of the trailer, which is like online or something, on video on the Mix, page or whatever.
I feel on Facebook now, too, on our Facebook
I don't know,
page.
I'm not on Facebook, but
It's on Facebook.
The best place to find information about MIXNYC cases.
So I just asked my friends. But so that's you can find out some secrets there, which I won't say on stage. And I know what to say. I don't know.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is it was really important to us to have the trailer be on film. The trailer, the first mixed trailer that was shot on film was in 1997 by Jim Hubbard, which you saw tonight, the Shoot Art one. And then in 2007, Jake Usna from the Museum of Arts and Design shot on film on Fuji stock and finished it on video. And then Kelly Spivey used film in 2008 to make the trailer. And last year, anyway, Gina made hers this year and finished it on film, which had been my goal for 5 years for someone to finish the trailer on film. So it's really exciting. And I think that I don't know, not to be all interested in the materiality of film, but we are. In fact, it's just really important as this fragile emulsion, gets further and further away from us. So, but yet we still keep it alive, and I think that's really important. So I think Gina and I've, like the other couple weeks ago, she's at midnight. She's like, "Do you want to come over and see the first answer print?" And I'm like, "I don't know if I can do that." And then I ran over there to Park Slope at 1:30 in the morning, and we looked at it. And that was the first. And I was looking at it on the Steam Deck without the sync sound, right? The sound of mix wasn't done yet. But I'm talking, and really Gina should be talking. So I'm gonna.
There's. You can find all the secrets later, or you can ask me anything you want. But basically, I just really appreciate the opportunity that Mix gives all of us to show film and to be the queers that we are in the great spaces that they provide for us each year. So the film space and the queer space is all here, and I feel like I wanted to have the most important things in the trailer, which is the most important things in life, sex and cinema. So thank you.
Other questions out there? But you're all so patient. It's wonderful.
And do any of our filmmakers have questions for each other or thoughts about each other's work?
That's nice. Well, I'm going to say more while you guys think, which is just Kate.
Yes, but I'd rather do it in the lounge.
Oh, I know. It's actually really toasty and warm down there, and there's going to be a lot of food in a second.
My outfit for it.
Oh, right. Pink is the theme. Well, we're going to play Lauren's film when we get off stage, but I'm just going to say also, I'm pretty excited that everyone on stage, except for Tina, whose work, I don't know what you shot that on. Can you tell us? Yeah, right, okay. Well, it's still beautiful and wonderful. And I don't say that all the time about video. But everyone here, Lauren, Kate, Econ, even myself, Gina, and Kelly, all shoot celluloid film, which is pretty exciting, actually, that everyone, that's who's on stage. Not to exclude anyone, because we don't. Yeah, archival footage. And so, I don't know, that really warms my heart, even in this really cold screening room. But if there's no more questions now.
I'll say one last thing, is I have been making this sort of transition to digital a little bit, but I have to say that tonight's screening really whet my appetite to get back to film, and so thank you all for that, because it's just when it's like a delicious food that you haven't eaten in a while, and then you see it again, and you're like, oh my god. So thank you all for that.
Well, I guess I should also mention that just thank you for this Q&A, everyone, but we do have You should sign up for the raffle, and we're giving away things all week. One of the things the Museum of Arts and Design has just released to us some free tickets to the Francois Sagat Masterclass on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. So that's a $65 ticket, and you could have it for free if you're one of the lucky winners. So the box office has the tickets. You just have to sign your name and email, and then we'll email when we draw out of a hat before Saturday. And there's other free stuff that'll be given away at hospitality, but sometimes, like NASA, right? You have to scrub the launch because the conditions aren't completely perfect.
Yeah.
And so we got a little launch out tonight, and we're going to keep going the rest of the week. But I think we're going to adjourn the Q&A, and we're going to. I probably have to rewind. Wait, I think I have to rewind reel 2 for you before I can start that, and then we can start that, and people can stay or go to the lounge, and that's what's going to happen. And we have lots of other excitements all week, so thank you so much. Makers.